Paramahansa Paribhajagacharya Asatarasi Srimad His Divine Grace of Hai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Nitai Gaurabhimanandi. All glories to the Sammal devotees. All glories to the Sammal devotees. All glories to the Sammal devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Padasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vacharini Sri Sasanyavadi Pastachari Shatarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter 13, text number 2. Dhritarashtra quits home. Yavata Kritavan Prashnan Kshata Kosadavagrata Jataika Bhaktir Govinde Tebhyas Chopararama Ha Javata Kritavan Prashnan Yavata Kritavan Prashnan Kshata Kosadavagrata Kshata Kosadavagrata Jataika Bhaktir Govinde Jataika Bhaktir Govinde Tebhyascho Pararamaha Tebhyascho Pararamaha Yavata Kritavan Prashnan Shatako Saravagrata Jataika Bhaktir Govinde Tebhyascho Pararamaha. Ladies? Yavata, all that. Kritavan, did he put. Prashnan, questions. Kshata, a name of Vidura. Kausharava, a name of Maitreya. Agrata, in the presence of. Jata, having grown up. Eka, one. Bhakti, transcendental loving service. Govinde, unto Lord Krishna. Tebya, excuse me, regarding further questions. Cha, and. Uparadama, retired from. Ha, in the past. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. After asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. Please repeat. After asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. Purport. Vidura retired from putting questions before Maitreya Muni when he was convinced by Maitreya Rishi that the summum bonum of life is to be finally situated in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna, who is Govinda, or one who satisfies his devotees in all respects. The conditioned soul, the living being in material existence, seeks happiness by employing his senses in the modes of materialism, but that cannot give him satisfaction. He then searches after the supreme truth by the empiric, philosophic, speculative method and intellectual feats. But if he does not find the ultimate goal, he again goes down to material activities and engages himself in various philanthropic and altruistic works, which all fail to give him satisfaction. So neither fruitive activities nor dry philosophical speculation can give one satisfaction, because by nature a living being is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And all the Vedic literatures give him direction toward that ultimate end. The Bhagavad Gita 15:15 confirms this statement. Like Vidura, an inquisitive, conditioned soul must approach a bona fide spiritual master like Maitreya, and by intelligent inquiries must try to know everything about karma, fruitive activities, gyan, philosophical research for the supreme truth, and yoga, the linking process of spiritual realization. One who is not seriously inclined to put questions before a spiritual master need not accommodate a show-bottle spiritual master. Nor should a person who may be a spiritual master for others pose to be so if he is unable to engage his disciple ultimately in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the ultimate goal of life, bhakti, onto Govinda. Thus there was nothing to be known further about spiritual progress. Om Jnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmanitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Girim Yatkipadam Hambande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Ishitanishwaram Paramananda Madhavam. Translation again. After seeking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni. So Srila Prabhupada begins his another incredible purport. Srila Prabhupada begins by this very important point that Shrotavyadini Rajana Ninam Shanti Sahasrasha. There's so many things that Shukadeva Goswami says, there's so many things that we can talk about in this material world. Many things. Shrotavyad, there's hundreds, Shrotavyadini Rajana Ninam Shanti Sahasrasha. Sahasrasha, there's so many things that we can be talking about, but this is the most important conversation. Vidura retired from putting questions before Maitreya when he was convinced by Maitreya Rishi that the summum bonum of life is to be finally situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Because there's so many things that we can be doing. Ahara nidra bhaya maitunang cha. The Vedic literatures describe that the men and animals share all of these activities. Ahara bhaya nidram bhaya maitunam cha. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. These are activities we share with even the animals. People are very expert in trying to develop these animalistic activities. Very expert. They spend fortunes in trying to make a better bed or better food, right? Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Better food. They spend enormous wealth. Although sometimes what they're eating is totally unmentionable in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Even the so-called leaders of society, they may invite their friends to their home, and what do they offer them? A whole assortment of hamburgers. Hamburgers. I don't know if you're up on, I won't get into the political insinuation there, but this is the norm in society now. We spend enormous time and energy for eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But the Bhagavatam describes, or the Vedic literatures describe, dharmohi tesham adiko vishesho, that there's a special property which is there within the human form. And that is which is different than all other forms. But there's a special property here within the human form, and that is that one can engage in a spiritual life. The animals don't have any interest. They're, again, interested in how to make a more secure nest, how to protect it, how to propagate, and whenever possible, scrounge around for something to eat. This is the norm. But in the human form of life, one has the special gift, the special property of engaging in spiritual life, spiritual inquiry. And dharmena hina pashubi samana. If that human form is not used in that way, then it comes to the level of animals. There's no difference. Srila Prabhupada comments that there are four-legged animals who are running here and there, and there are also two-legged animals who are running here and there. They're all looking for the same thing. But one who's, as Srila Prabhupada points out here, who finally understands, having approached a spiritual master, a bona fide spiritual master, and has received transcendental knowledge from that person, then it's the greatest gift, because that again means that one has not only utilized this human form, which is such a temporary object, but he's used it in its most to its capacity. And as we were listening the other day, Srila Prabhupada was describing during his lecture that this is the process of getting knowledge. That one has to approach a qualified personality, and as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Tadvidi Paripatena, Srila Prabhupada also makes that point later on here in the purport. But this is the process. But that process has to be known. Right? It's just like if you want to purchase some gold, you don't go to a carpenter and ask him about gold. What does he know? Or as Prabhupada's example was, you don't go to a beedi wala. He can teach you how to make beedis, but he can't tell you what God is. So that process has to be known. Of course, one has to have a little bit of seriousness to understand that what I need to find out is gold. There has to be some definition. You have to have a bit of intelligence to understand that the real goal is to get out of this material world, that I'm in a suffering condition. If one hasn't realized that, then again it's dharmena hina pashubi samana. Then it's animal life. So the process has to be known. And again, just like if you have a car that's broken down, you don't go to a jeweler to ask him, fix this car for me. So as Prabhupada makes this point here in the purport, that the answer is not karma, gyan, or yoga, because these processes are mechanical, as Srila Prabhupada was mentioning during his lecture on Sunday. These processes are mechanical, and they're not adequate to understand that which is spiritual. Therefore, there has to be tadvijnanam, tadvijnanartam sagurum eva vikatschit, is described in the Vedic literature, is that one has to approach if one is serious anyway, if one is at all serious about happiness, then it's described that one should approach a bona fide spiritual master, and his qualification is that he's realized the conclusions of the scriptures. He understands what the truth is. That is the case that we're seeing here in the discussion between Vidura and Maitreya. that Vidura, after putting forth some very meaningful questions to Maitreya, was satisfied and understood that this is um, uh, uh, this is the absolute truth, that to be engaged in devotional service is the real goal of life, um, and that should be our mission. Srila Prabhupada points out here, the conditioned soul, the living being in material existence, seeks happiness by employing his senses in the modes of materialism. But again, these are not the answers. The answers are engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, by which one can realize how Krishna is there within the heart. Srila Prabhupada points out here that the Lord, he satisfies his devotee in all respects. Sadhu namridayam mayam, sadhu namridayam tuam. Because Krishna is there within the heart. He's not in the heart of the yogis. Naham tishtami vaikunte. He's neither there in Vaikunta, but he's there wherever his devotees are engaged in glorifying his name, form, pastimes, and activities. Therefore, as Prabhupada's point here is that he satisfies his devotees in all respects. Of course, that sometimes that may not be so apparent, because even sometimes devotees have to undergo different challenges, just as the Pandavas here and even Vidura had to undergo different tribulations in their lives. But still, we see the final outcome was that they got the association and a darshan of the personality of Godhead. Instead, if the living entity, as Prabhupada points out here, tries to pursue other philosophical or intellectual feats and doesn't find satisfaction there, he again falls down into some sort of philanthropic or altruistic activities. I never really understood how that how this was so how it was understood. I remember one year the devotees had gone to Mayapur, and in Vrindavan, there we had some health issues. I remember going to a clinic, and as we walked in the door of this clinic, there behind the chair was a sannyasi. He was the receptionist of this clinic. He's surrounded by some women who were chit-chatting, and behind him, I looked past him through a window which led into a yard. Behind him, there were a bunch of chickens running around, and I was thinking, oh, this is what Srila Prabhupada is meaning by falling down from their imagined positions of superiority and engaging in philanthropic or some altruistic activity. They engage in some mundane activity because there's no satisfaction there. And so neither fruitive activity nor philosophical speculation can give one satisfaction, because by nature we're to be engaged in the devotional service of the Lord. We're meant to be connected with Krishna through this process of devotional service. And that is the goal, as the Lord confirms in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya Cham Hridi Sanavishto. Sarvar Gunas, what is that? Vedaischa Sarver Ahang Eva Vedyo. It's by the Vedic literature. The Vedic literatures conclude that everything culminates in understanding the position of the personality of Godhead. And all other activities or goals or desires are not fulfilling. Instead, they become just more entangling. There's a beautiful verse by Rupa Goswami in the Nectar Devotion, in which he states, Kamadinam kotina kadida pulita duni sheshas, that there's no limit to the unwanted orders of lusty desires. There's no limit. And we see it practically in society. We can observe it in our own lives, that lusty desires have no limit. They're always pushing and trying to direct us in a particular direction. And he states that although I've rendered so much service to them, they show me no mercy. No matter how much you try to satisfy these material desires, they're never satisfied. Neither do they show you any mercy. It's just like giving something into an endless pit. You just keep on adding fuel to the fire, and the fire keeps on going. It's never satiated. Instead, the fire actually begins to rage further. And I've never been ashamed to serve them. That is the great illusion of it all. That people are engaged in so many activities in this world, in search of some sort of gratification, and they're embarrassed constantly, but they're still, one is never ashamed. There's no people have no qualms about doing anything or saying anything, in whether it be in private or in public. There's no regard. So neither are they ashamed, nor do they want to even give it up. I'm not going to stop from doing whatever I need to in order to find that gratification. Even if it means I have to cheat and lie and steal, whatever I have to in order to achieve that gratification. But now, due to transcendental knowledge, I refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. He prays. Now, because I've been given the mercy of the Lord through His devotees, the process of Krishna consciousness, now I refuse to obey the unwanted orders of these desires. Instead, I have now come to surrender at your fearless lotus feet. The lotus feet of the Lord are the fearless position of the devotees. Every other position in this world is a very fearful condition. But being situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, it's a fearless condition. Srila Prabhupada, of course, is our most vivid example of that in our own lives. That because of his fearlessness in surrendering to having surrendered to the personality of Godhead, his person was fearless in all regard, ready to even travel around the world in spreading Krishna consciousness, which is a great challenge. Certainly, if we even look at our own teeny lives, we can do certain things which are very challenging and fearful. But to go out to a foreign place and establish a worldwide movement, give Krishna consciousness to people who have absolutely no interest, it's a great feat. It's extraordinary. Kindly engage me in your personal service and save me. That's why we chant this wonderful Hare Krishna mantra, because we're asking the Lord to kindly save us and engage us in his devotional service. So Srila Prabhupada points out here in the purport that this is the requisite, this is the requirement for one to advance in spiritual life, that one has to take shelter in such a way. And Vidura here is our wonderful example, how he's taken shelter of Maitreya Muni, having received transcendental knowledge from him. And as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Yajgata na punar moham evam yashyasi pandava, that once having received transcendental knowledge from a liberated personality, there's no question of falling back down into material activities. There's no question. Having received the proper instruction from a bona fide authority, spiritual master, there's no question of, again, becoming attracted to these material things, bewildered by these various material desires which are constantly there. But one has to be serious, as Prabhupada points out here. If one is not seriously inclined to put questions before such a personality, one need not accommodate a show bottle spiritual master. There's no reason, neither is there any reason for such a show bottle person or a person to take on that position unless one and until one is determined to help those dependents. Gurur nasasyat, svajano nasasyat. One should not take on that position of spiritual master or even disciple unless one is serious about one's spiritual path. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the ultimate goal of life, bhakti unto Govinda. Thus, there was nothing to be known further about spiritual progress. Yasmin vigyatan sarvam evam vigyatam bhavanti. Once understanding the personality of Godhead, once one has come to that position, there's nothing else to be, nothing further to be known. There's no other interest in life. We don't have any interest in becoming anything in this world. outside of Krishna's servant. Of course, as Krishna's servant, one can do anything at the same time. The Vaishnava, the devotee of the Lord, is prepared to engage in whatever service may be offered. But the real goal is to be firmly fixed in devotional service, and all other things are not of any interest here. As the example here of Vidura is so clear, that having received and becoming established in the loving service of Krishna, Vidura retired from putting further questions to Maitreya, and focused his mind on his real goal, and that was to becoming fixed in Krishna consciousness. So we'll end there. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhu. My question is, sometimes we see material philanthropists, they seem to be, kind of happy with the activities that they're engaging in. So my question is, what's the distinction between satisfaction that's coming from material philanthropic activities and satisfaction that's coming through the activities of Krishna consciousness?
It's devotee. It's temporary, and it's dependent. The satisfaction that one derives from material activities is just dependent on so many different conditions. It's so conditional. If the weather's not right, or if this condition is not right, or this situation is not right, then I can't do it. But devotional service is not dependent like that. In devotional service, whether the conditions are hot or cold, popular or unpopular, the facility may be there, the facility may not be there, still we can in some way make an offering to Krishna. In some way, if nothing else, you may get just thrown in a prison cell. What can you do there? At least in a prison cell, within your mind, you can chant Hare Krishna. So devotees in early days were thrown in very difficult, challenging conditions, but still were able to, at least within their mind, engage in devotional service. Whereas in the material world, again, it's so dependent on circumstances. We don't need that requirement. It can be in Bhagavatam explains that it can be a hellish condition, or it can be a heavenly situation. Either one, it makes no difference. For one who's fixed in devotional service, these situations don't confuse us.
Could you explain a little the difference between devotional service for a devotee who's initiated and has a spiritual master, or just performing devotional service? Because we see some people don't take Diksha and they perform a lot of service for many, many years.
Well, Diksha is a more serious commitment. It's certainly there's a connection there. There's so many persons who do things for the Krishna consciousness movement. They may give money, or they may give their time, or they may give their intelligence in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and there's benefit to that. There's no doubt. But it also leaves the door open for material activities to gradually seep in and squash that creeper. But the idea of initiation is that you're trying to close the door on those opportunities. You're trying to you're committing yourself. It's a more serious commitment, but it also it puts you on the front lines of trying to fight Maya. You're declaring war, and when you declare war, you have to really be prepared. You have to be prepared for some challenges. And when you take initiation, that is when you're declaring war. I'm determined now to follow this process, these activities, these purificatory processes, these activities, and Maya is going to come and attack. So taking shelter of the spiritual master, taking shelter of especially the spiritual master by Diksha, gives you the strength to fight that condition and protect you from, again, falling into a hellish situation. So again, it's a more serious commitment to practicing Krishna consciousness, and it's a requirement. Yasyadeva parabhaktir yatateva tataguro. When you surrender onto the spiritual master, the Vedic literatures become manifest. All the imports of the Vedic literatures become manifest. Because you've made a serious commitment, Krishna comes and opens the heart to understanding this knowledge. If you don't want to make a commitment, then how much can you? What obligation does Krishna have, other than fulfilling your desires? Oh, today I want to chant, but afterwards I'm going to go to the movies. That's how far you're going to go. But if you make that commitment, then the Vedic literatures become manifest. The import of the Vedic literatures, which is devotional service and a serious commitment to taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, whereby you get protection, becomes firm. So it's a requirement for one who's serious. If you're not serious, then that's a different thing. Tasmad gurum prabhadyeta jigyasushe uttama. The Vedic literatures describe that if one is serious about understanding spiritual life, then one has to, and becoming happy, then one has to approach a spiritual master. If you're not serious, then you can just do what you can do, and then hopefully someday something will light up in your mind. Oh, well, I should be doing this. Any other questions? One more. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. You said about Nindra, Bhai, Ahar, Methuna. So does animal also do and human being also do that? So what's the difference between human being and animal? What's the different gap? Nindra, Bhai, Ahar, Methun. In the beginning you talk about it.
What's that? The difference between a human and an animal is that, the human, the difference is that in the spiritual, in the human form of life, we have an opportunity for practicing spiritual life. One can practice and pursue spiritual life. The animals can't do that. That's the difference. Otherwise, it's eating, sleeping, mating, and defending all the way around. But in the human form, you have a chance. We can talk about higher things, like we're doing here. We don't have any cats and dogs in here, I don't think.
Animal also do that. Nindra, Bhaya or Methun. I said animal also do that. Nindra, Bhaya, Ahar, Methuna.
Otherwise, it's the same activity. Yeah. Okay, I can answer outside. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.